let's start the press conference with Coach Seel to present Vivo Stars.
Hello, Seel, man. You guys haven't beaten anything in the top of the table. So how do you explain the current level?
I think it's important for the fans and the media to understand that our training has been really poor. That's the truth. I think, you know, as you guys know, I've never missed a press conference a single time when we lose games in the last 2 years of my career. And I've never missed a COD press conference in the last 6 years of my coaching career. And yesterday was the first time I didn't come after I lost. You know, there's only so much that I can do to cover players. You know, the training environment and the effort that we've seen in the training room has been some of the worst that I've seen. Apart from early last year and late 2024. So I would almost account that to top 3, top 4 worst attitudes and worst kind of focus going into the training sessions. I think we had a very long break after Worlds, and we gave a lot of the players time to rest. And the level that they showed when they came back to the training was completely unacceptable. And so we are struggling a lot right now. That's the case, and people have been disciplined behind the scenes, and people have been addressed, and problems have been addressed. It's just it may be a case of we made too many mistakes, wasted too much time, and so I think this week's games is a band-aid fix. You know, I made a video on Twitter saying that we had a 10% win rate in scrims, 12% win rate in the first week. It was the first 2 weeks, and only now did we break 50%. So I think us losing to a team like Fury is actually normal, despite the star-studded roster and the amount of investment we made as an organization. And so across the board, I think unacceptable. In these moments, also for myself, and to be really clear to everyone out there, when the team is performing badly, you need to have really good drafts and good adaptations. I think that's been difficult, and I made a couple of mistakes myself as well. So across the board, yeah, we're really not happy, and it was actually a result that we thought could very well happen this week.
Hello, Seel from EDL here. My question is about draft problems. We saw on Behind the Stars, Zam is complaining a lot about the draft, and also I think yesterday, people again complaining about that. What do you think is going on? You think the problem is the draft, the problem is the player? What's going on?
I mean, I think to be clear, we definitely made mistakes in the draft for sure. That's without a doubt. I think it's happened multiple times in my career. For example, in the first MD5 I played against Pain in Split 1, I forgot to ban Maokai, and we ended up having to play Rel. So these are some examples of some of my mistakes in the past. So that definitely exists, but I really want to stress that you know, Behind the Stars is a polished, edited product. So you guys obviously aren't going to be able to hear any of the things that happen behind the scenes. So first of all, when you lose every scrim, or when you win the scrims but have really poor training. So for example, last week we had 65% win rate in scrims. We're dying 25 times a game from each side. So it's a 50 kill game. How accurate is that data? Am I winning because I bought better players, or am I winning because we're good on the map? You can obviously tell by our games yesterday and today that our map play is disgraceful. It's completely disgraceful. It's completely lacking in discipline. Nobody is willing to give up on their ideas and listen to each other. And so you're just going to get a lot of fake data in draft. Nothing is going to seem like the right decision. And so I want people to understand that as well. I think historically, I am someone that will go on social media and say, you know, our draft was bad, and try to divert a lot of the pressure of the players. But we haven't been doing the bare minimum in the training room, and I think it showed, and I think it reflects in our draft preparation as well. And obviously all of this is my responsibility. I think whether or not we had personal problems, I should have made players come in on December, but we started early January, you know. So that's a lesson that we learned this year.
Hi, Seel, Mateus from Uncut Sports. What's happened, in your opinion, what's happened with Kate today?
As I said, I think we came in with some of the worst training ever, like tilting mid-scrim. Bad focus, letting things snowball, things that are just unacceptable in a professional environment. You know, some things that I had to say over the last days just to get us in practice were mind-blowing, and we're not learning fast enough, and we're not learning fast enough, and we're not meshing fast enough. So I hope that this loss serves as a learning lesson for everyone. You know, everyone in the staff, everyone in the amongst the players too. That it doesn't matter if you have good names. What matters is how much you want it, how much you want to improve, and if you don't have good training, you will just not look good. You know, as I said in split 3 of last year, we had an 80% win rate, and we ended up with an 80% win rate on stage. You know, when we had a 60% win rate on scrims, we had a 55 to 60% win rate on stage, and that's through discipline and hard work. So that's what's happening to the UK stars, and obviously, you know, not to shy away from responsibility. Every decision, roster, draft in the end is my decision, and there are definitely things I could have done better. So across the board, to our fans, I'd like to say we're deeply sorry, and we're all going to step it up and do better.
Dori, your question.
Hi, Seel. Yesterday, on the final part of the game, Viserys has quit the game. So will he have any punishment about this from KG, or it will be other ways to deal with it?
Yesterday I didn't punish Izamis. I made a gamble in draft. I felt the game would be very hard, and if I do something wrong, of course I talked about the fact that he should not quit the game and it's unacceptable, and he agreed, but I didn't yell at him or anything as people expect. I think I also made some key errors yesterday, and that's my responsibility. So I took an approach where both of us were responsible. However, I think throughout the last 3-4 weeks, I've been very, very clear on his behavior, and he's been working on that, to be clear, and he's been working really hard to fix that. So, yeah, while the results of the training has been really unacceptable, I also do want to say on Dezama's behalf that he is trying. Some of the heated moments that you see, I encourage, because I don't believe in a hierarchy. I believe that if players feel scared to talk to their coach about ideas, the team will never be good. So things are getting better. He was talked to, but not the way you would imagine.
Okay, thank you.
Gostou, your question.
What's up, Seel? Course from my sports here. I know you talk a lot about drafts, but I would like to remember one quote you spoke with me in an interview last year in the second split. You said, what I always tell people who don't know esports is, drafting is just a channel and environment for the fans to vent their frustration. The best team will always win, unless the draft is unforgiving, but that almost never happens. My question is, you guys at VKS blame the draft a lot in this split, but do you consider these drafts in this split is actually that unforgiving?
As I said, it's a bit of public relations. I am a coach that generally comes out and puts a lot of the pressure on himself. I think this is the maybe the second time or third time in my career that I've said this. The last time I remember being the end of 2024. Most definitely the drafts were completely playable. The argument against yesterday's draft, for example, is that Pantheon Ari should stop Yon in lane and should be a very, very difficult matchup on mid. And he came out of the lane phase 50-50. So why do we lose? Where draft matters is if your team is mega shit, maybe you can win one or two games through amazing draft, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I could have done better. So yeah, for sure. I believe that for a coach of my caliber, I've coached in Europe, North America, Oceania, Brazil now. I've coached 100 plus LEC, like major league players throughout my career. It's not acceptable that I make these mistakes. That's the standard that I hold myself to. But what I'm communicating to you and the staff, and the press and the fans is that there's a deeper rooted issue. We need to be more hungry to succeed. We need to want to win more than anything. That is the most important thing for me, and we haven't been doing that. So that's the problem.
Thank you.
So that's it. Thank you guys, and thank you, Seel.